Okay.
Yes.
So I'll intro. So I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Ahmed Hussein, and I've been looking forward to this podcast for quite a while now. And I've known Doctor for around 7 to 8 years. He's been a kind and a good friend of mine for this period of time. Definitely shared some really good conversations with him, and one of the most inspiring people in terms of business and mindset and drive. So really pleased to meet you. We've got some good questions to ask, and maybe you want to just have a little brief introduction and tell us about yourself and how you've become from being a doctor to traveling around the world, and then now you've got, you know, you're a business owner and multiple business owners. So maybe you want to share your story and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, James, for taking the time for this interview. I think I will enjoy it because it's always good to tell the new generations about how to succeed and to avoid failure. We always learn from our mistakes, so it's always good to tell people about such mistakes so that they can avoid it. It's not necessary for them to have the same mistakes. So if they know, they can avoid it. Now, your question is, I like the question, how did I move from being a consultant pediatrician to businessman? Let me first start with being a physician. Being a physician, I was a successful physician. In a sense, for physicians to be successful and proud of themselves, besides the experience and the knowledge treating their patients, they should have two more achievements. One is research, and the second is publications, which I did. I have my first publication in 1985. I published my first book in pediatrics. As far as the research is concerned, I've conducted 2 researches in the late 80s and the early 90s. One of them was about anemia in children across the Middle East, and the other was regarding the IQ, intelligence quotient in children. So I've already achieved some research in pediatrics, and I have my publications. Besides being a successful clinician, being consultant, I have certain records which I'm very, very proud of it. You know, my specialty is neonatal ICU. This is the medicine of the newly born babies who are very sick. Yeah. One of my records is 450 grams. Imagine you have a baby delivered and the weight is 450 grams. The average weight is usually 2.5 kilograms. So if you have a baby who is 450 grams and you start working on it, this patient, I do remember that it was in the early 90s. I do remember that this patient has got all the complications, you can name it. And I'm very, very proud of this with my team. This patient is now an engineer. So he got all the complications, a textbook. So on the level of being a clinician, I was very successful. And if somebody will hear this, say, okay, if you're a successful physician, why did you move to business? I'll tell you, it's only one single reason. It might be simple, but to me, it makes a difference. It was a lot. And this was about the supply-demand gap. Because being a pediatrician, I meet people, mothers, mainly mothers, because when the child is sick, usually the mother comes with the baby rather than the father. So I meet people, I have good relation with with the parents of my patients. And I found that there is a big gap in the provision of the health care sector in pediatrics. And the government or the authorities, they are not looking at it in terms of provision of the facilities, regulations, doctors, therapists. Therefore, I decided to go for the private sector. And when I was thinking going to private sector, I like to think outside the box because, you know, physicians, when they go for the private business, They go and open private clinic or medical center or hospital. I didn't do this. I just thought of some services which could be provided to patients outside hospital premises. So I thought of extending the hospital service to home. So I started home care business, where I provide the medical service at home for patients who require medical service, but they don't need to stay in the hospital. And this has double benefits. So from the hospital perspective, they save money because they save the beds, and they decongest the hospital and use the beds for new emergency. And from the other side, the patient would be better treated at home, because all researchers say that it's best to be treated at home. Your psychological state will be better. The infection control will be better. So I started home care, and also I started rehabilitation, because again, this was one of the areas in pediatrics where there's a big gap in the provision of the service, and this will needed. You know, some parents, they cry when they find their child is handicapped. By the way, I don't like the word handicap. We call it special needs, because if the family has got a child who's having special needs, or now we call it people of determination. If you have a child with special needs, you always compare it with his brother or sister or nephew or neighbor. So families are very, very desperate. So this was one of the things which drive me to go for the private business. By the way, I could have gone for other business like cosmetology. No, I don't. I want a business which gives me a good profit on one side, but in the same side, it should have a community and humanitarian element.
Yeah.
So yes, so whenever you have a child who is having some handicap, is a mental handicap or physical handicap, and then it improves, you get a good reward. So this was the reason why I moved from this being a pediatrician to business. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did. And for anyone listening, because there's always, a lot of us have good ideas. We see a gap in the market. The amount of time we speak to somebody and they say, oh, I've got a great idea, but they don't do anything with it. It's just talk and it's not action. So what was it that, because obviously you identified this gap, what was it that made you then go from an idea to then going, do you know what, tomorrow I'm going to go and start this. I'm actually going to put action behind it.
I like this question, very good. Actually, people who work for a long time, say, let's take our industry as a physician. If I work for a long time as a physician, it will be difficult to move suddenly to private business where you don't have your monthly salary. So I decided to go, but it was a risk, but it was calculated risk. In other words, number one, which I did, I studied intensively the customer behavior. So if I'm going for a business, I should, first of all, I do advise everybody to learn more about the customer behavior, because this is the customer, this is the client who will be giving you the business. Because I believe that a customer can sack and terminate all people, everybody from the CEO to the housekeeper, by spending his money elsewhere. So if the customer doesn't come to you, you're not done, you're fired. So customer behavior is my first thing to study, which I did, because I'm going into medical service, private, so I need to see this, number one. The other two important factors which made me successful are the number one, patient satisfaction and employee engagement. And I'd like to elaborate on this, because patient satisfaction is not something easy. I'll tell you, it's well known that you can fool patients or the customer, you can fool the customer a day or two, a week or two, but not forever. So now clients, with the advance in technology, with the internet, with the easy travel and communication, they know about the service. So you cannot fool them. And I am always I'm always a quality-minded person. So I like my service to be provided in a high quality manner. Even when I was a pediatrician, I used to have in my own clinic, maybe a different setup from the hospital where I take care of the quality. And you know, quality is expensive. So, and I always believe that quality is something built in rather than an add-on. So when I start looking at the service I provide, I look at the quality and look for patient satisfaction. And I do believe that if you provide the service in a high quality manner, up to date, with proper communication with the family, you will be okay. So this was number one, patient satisfaction. And I knew how to get the patient satisfaction. By the way, I can tell you currently, the patient satisfaction survey, which we do twice a year, the score has, I have these documents. I can even submit it to you. The score we have is exceeding the international benchmark for the healthcare industry for the patient satisfaction. So this number one, patient satisfaction. Number two, employee engagement. I can never succeed without having my people engaged to the business, engaged to the company. And if you take care of these two elements, the patient satisfaction or the customer satisfaction and employee engagement, profit will come. Profit will come. Business will go.
It's taken care of.
These are the two important elements that made me successful.
I've got a question for you later on staff, because I've seen firsthand how you handle your staff. So that's something I'll ask you later. And also with dealing with you and spending a lot of time with you over the last 7-8 years, I know how you're so organized and you keep a record of everything you're sending out. So you always work on data and always trying to improve things with your staff and with from a client point of view. So I know that what you're saying is true, because I've seen it firsthand.
I love being organized. I hate people disorganized, because when you are organized, you are saving time, you're performing better. And I do remember one of my boss, he used to call me, and in one meeting he told the directors, Dr. Ahmed Hussein is my document control, because I always keep things. Yes, I remember this until now. I love to be organized, because I can tell you one story now in this context, if you allow me.
Sure.
My wife is a pediatrician, and when I'm in the hospital on call, for example, and sometimes she calls me and she say, Ahmed, I want to read about something because I have a patient today. She's at home, I'm in the hospital. I tell her, okay, go to the cupboard, go to the shelf number 2, you will find a notebook, a red notebook, take it, you'll find an index, and you find what you are looking for. I mean, it's my work. I'm totally organized, and I can tell you for sure that this will save a lot of time. This will improve your productivity, because you see people, you ask them for something, they spend an hour looking for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at, let's say, the last 10-15 years, and you look at how, I mean, you've from when I first met you, you'd already made that transition from a doctor to having your own home care practice, and then in them last 8 years, you've now gone and spread it out into multiple businesses in different sectors. What would you say were the if you could point out 2 or 3 things or situations or instances which either a failure or something that went really well, which then kind of leveled up your skill set or your mindset or your capabilities? What could you pinpoint 2 or 3 things that?
Okay, the main lessons I got were from my failure, because look, it's fine to commit a mistake, but it's not accepted to repeat the same mistake. Mm-hmm. And when there is a failure, well, everybody can fail, but there are certain lessons you should learn. For me, I always look for the root cause. I have no problem. I failed, by the way. I failed in some businesses. I lost some businesses, but this drive me in a better way in the other business, because if I fail, I just sit down and think, why did I fail? And most of the lessons I got in business when I failed. This number 1. Number 2, being a physician, you know, physicians keep reading and learning all through their life. So this was my habit. I keep reading about business. I keep being updated about the business and the market, because you cannot live in isolation of the market. There's certain, I always tell my people, there's certain frameworks I keep it beside me when I work, because if I don't know about the market, I'll be lost. Example, I have one of my habits is that every week I have to have a report for the environmental scanning. And by environmental scanning, I mean I scan the environments which influence my business, all the stakeholders. So I am updated every week about what's going on in the industry. I'm reading what's the best practice abroad. And number 3, I'm always in favor of infusing technology in my business. So these are the 3 things. You scan the environment, see what's going on with the competition landscape, and you keep reading on the business, because there is new business models, by the way. Look at the offer, yes. And yes, and at the end of the day, no business will improve and get uplifted without technology. So even in my company now, I have among the committees I have a technology committee, which we meet every month. And I always look at technology from 3 different aspects. See, in my language, technology should fulfill one or more of these 3. Number 1, bringing business. Number 2, satisfying my patients. Number 3, facilitating the operation, making life easy. So if the technology meet these objectives, we're done. And maybe this is not the forum now to discuss it, but I have at least 6 or 7 platforms of technology in my company now, achieving these objectives: bringing business, satisfying patients, and facilitating the operation.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And you mentioned just about habits, and I've always been amazed at how early you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
I think you wake up, well, it used to be about 4 o'clock, but I think it's a little bit earlier now. It's like
4 o'clock, yes.
So is that just something that you've always done, or is that a tactic where you want to kind of get up before everybody else?
No, I'll tell you. Early in my life, I never did this. You know, because I was always working in a private sector. I did work as a doctor in government. I work in private sector, and private sector usually, whether in my home country in Egypt or Saudi Arabia or here or there, we usually start maybe at 9 o'clock. So I used to wake up 7:30. But I don't know if you know this. We as Muslims, we have the first prayer in the morning, which we call it the early morning prayer, usually start at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And I became more or less a bit religious. So I wanted to attend this prayer in the mosque. So I started waking up maybe 4:15, 4:20 to attend in the mosque. And when I come back from the mosque, I found myself, this in the early days, I found myself fresh. And because to wake up 4 or 4:30 in the morning, you have to go to bed early. So I come back from the mosque, I find myself fresh. I go for my aerobics. By the way, I do at least 10-15 minutes aerobic every day at home. I don't go to gym. So, and then I find myself fresh. I don't go to bed. So I started working. Then I found that the best 2 or 3 hours productivity in my day will be from 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning after I come from the mosque, because you're still fresh. And well, that's why I keep all the difficult decisions and the difficult subjects and the complicated matters to be sorted out in the morning.
When you're most focused.
Yes. And sometimes I started earlier than this, but in most cases, 4 a.m. in the morning is my habit now.
And what time, how much sleep do you get? What time do you go to bed?
Maybe 11, 12, midnight.
So about
sometimes 1 o'clock, because I'm fancy of the football. Sometimes, you know, there are 2 hours difference in time between us and Egypt. So if the football match starts in 9 o'clock in Egypt, it's 11 here. So sometimes the football match finish at 1 or 1:30. So, but in most cases, I go to bed maybe 11, 12 midnight.
And I think what you said there is a critical lesson, because leaving some of the most difficult or crucial decisions for when you have the most amount of focus with the least amount of distractions, I think is a key ingredient to success. Because a lot of people, they will leave it to the end of the day, and maybe they're tired, and when we're tired, we don't make the clearest or best informed decisions.
No.
And but yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, it's something I'm quite an early starter, but I get up maybe an hour and a half after you, so it's something I need to work on as well. And I think one of the most impressive things that I've ever noticed about you is the staff that you have around. I mean, you've had some staff that's been with you from day one, but you've run, you know, several businesses now, and different types of staff, from sales to HR to marketing to technology to nurses to doctors. And one of the things that's impressed me is how they've always remained loyal to you, because through your success, you mentioned about failures. I know you've had ups and downs and periods where, you know, maybe you've not had to pay salaries or things like that, but the staff have always remained loyal to you. You've always, you know, kept a good work balance between professionalism, but they, you know, respect, they care for you, and they've stood by you. So what has been the I guess the criteria or the things that you put in place to keep them motivated and loyal to you?
Okay, that's a good question. And by the way, this is not an easy task, I can tell you for sure. And I can say that there's certain issues you have to take it to get your staff loyal. Let me first tell you why it's not an easy task. It could be easy in my home country because we're in the same culture, the same people, the same whatever. But when you are in UAE, where you have diversity of cultures, different nationalities, different school of learning, different approach in everything, we are dealing with humans. You know, I always say that you might be a very successful clinician or technician or engineer in your technical part, but it's not necessary to be successful in managing people. Managing people is a different skill. So it makes life more difficult when you manage people from different cultures. What you can do for Filipino, for example, you cannot do for the Indian and not for the Egyptian, and so on. So it wasn't an easy task. And I can tell you that I think I succeeded in this, because I was assessing my journey in the last 10, 15 years in the business. And one of the most important achievements I had is building up a loyal team.
Yeah.
You can gain profit. You can generate profit. And many people generate profit. Yes. But not everybody can build up a loyal team. People like to work even after working hours without telling me. They work from home, they promote for the company while they are outside. When they go with their friends or their relatives, they talk about the company. You know that some of the employees, they bring business to the company. Okay, I'll tell you why. Number one is a concept, which I believe. What is this concept? It takes you a long time and takes you a lot of effort to build up loyalty, but it takes you no time to destroy it. In 1 second, you can destroy it. I give an example. If I start building up loyalty in one of the employee over 6 months or a year, and then I come in one day and take a decision that he will hate the company, he will leave me, I can destroy it in 1 minute. So I'm always keeping in mind to build up the loyalty in the employee and leave it for him to give it back to me. Of course, not everybody will give it back to me. I can tell you, but those whom I see that they can give it back to me, I start scaling it. I start building it up. Example, if I see you, for example, after 6 months or a year, you started being loyal to the company. Now I can take it a step further. I help you in your own country. I open business for people in their own country. I helped them to bring their family here in UAE, which is not my job. I mean, but at the end of the day, number one element is transparency. My feeling is that if the business owner is transparent with the staff, that in itself will be the first step in building up loyalty. Because remember that people coming to UAE to work, they have a gap. They are suspicious because they hear a lot of stories before they come over. So they're suspicious. Now, I can tell you, in one time in 2018, maybe, I have a very big financial crisis in the company, and I couldn't release the salaries. Mm-hmm. So I talked to the staff, I met them, and they gave them the reason, because we have money delayed with Daman. Daman did not pay me. So I showed them the emails between me and Daman, and I got some loans and gave them part of their salary. They were very happy. They even told me, doctor, don't give us money. We'll try to find our own way until you get your money from Daman, something like this. Now, rewarding the staff, teaching them, look, every staff would love to be upgraded and having education. So this is one of my number one. We train them, we educate them, we motivate them. And I'm always solving their personal problems. See, I have an open door system and sometimes closed door system, but I give my instruction. Anybody of the staff who is having any problem, even personal, please come to my office. If I can help, I will. And by the way, there is one statement I always tell my people. Once you're hired, I don't call you anymore an employee. You're a partner. Behave as a partner. I do remember one day, maybe you know Yasser, the one who's my driver and personal assistant. One of the new staff he got in conflict with him. He said, why you are telling me this? Are you the owner of the company? He said, yes, I am the owner of the company. Because he saw some expenses going in the wrong way. He wanted to cut down cost. This sort of culture, people want to cut down costs. People want the company to succeed because, by the way, every year, my profit, they share my profit. I show them that if you work hard, you get a bonus, performance bonus. Now, and as I said, I always keep building this loyalty, and the personal issues. By the way, I have a special file for every employee for his or her personal issues, and I look for it. Imagine a small an employee on the reception, for example, mid-level employee, and I go to him, how is your mother now? She gets, did you want to send money to her because I came to know that she's sick, something like this. I mean, when you take care of the people personally, they
take care of you.
Yes. But by the way, it's not 100% true, because some of them they give
they take advantage.
But yes.
And I know you've also mentioned before in the past to me that you check things twice. You have two people that check things. So even though that you trust everybody and you create a great environment, you do check things in the background so that for anyone who's got a company, to listen to this, it's you have this trust and open door and try and help people protect, but you're doing it, but checking in the background that
correct.
Take advantage or
the DTA. Yes, the DTA. Yes, I have planned to double check. Yes, correct.
You have an acronym for most things, don't you?
DTA. Don't trust anybody. DTA.
Yeah.
Especially with the newcomers, yes, you help them, you build up loyalty. But by the way, in my business, I never trust people immediately. I give the chance because the lessons I had from these people. So I already adopted the policy of DTA. Don't trust anybody unless it's proved otherwise.
Yeah, which makes sense. So one of the things that I think anyone listening to this will take a lot of inspiration from it is that, you know, you're at a point in your life where you could easily retire, sit back, put your feet up and have that traditional type of retirement and be financially very comfortable. But you work, I think you work harder now, not physically, but you try and take on more and make your future bigger, more special, more involved every single quarter or every single year than you did in your past. And me as an advisor and everyone that I'm working with, everyone has the traditional, when I retire, I want to, you know, quit my job, put my feet up and do nothing. But what's the reason why, you know, you are pushing harder now?
Okay. Good that you asked this question. I'm always asking this question. Look, in 2019, I was asked the same question from a big investor who wants to get a transaction with me. And then he said that, Dr. Ahmed, when you are going to retire? Because at that time I was 69 and now I'm 71 years old, by the way. Now he asked me, when you will retire? I said, I'm sorry, this word is not in my dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that now, after all this success, I'm still building up new companies. I'm still establishing new companies, even beyond borders, because I started business in Georgia. Maybe you don't know about this now. You know about Morocco, you know about Saudi Arabia.
Every time I meet you, there's something new and exciting. So
yes, so I started business in Georgia. See, I love my work. I love it. And in the last couple of years, I started maybe modifying it slightly by giving some voluntary work and one of the projects which I'm very, very much proud of it. It's just launched 2 months ago. I didn't tell you. I was working on this project for the last 2 years. And it's launched 2 months ago, and I'm very proud of it. I think this is the one which will continue with me. This is Quran Academy. I already established academy for you know, our Holy Quran, the book, our holy book, the Quran.
Yes,
I established an online academy teaching the Muslims who are non-Arabic speakers, teaching them Quran and interpretation of Quran and the Arabic language, so that they can read Quran. This is a platform. It's called Sheikh Academy, and already we have now, alhamdulillah, we have 11 students from Canada, from UK, Pakistan, Italy. So, wow. and this is, yes, that's one of my passion now. But I cannot stop business because, you know, James, when you start a new business, you open life for some people. I mean, you have employee, you employ people, you know more people, you help more people. That in itself is also something I like, because see, when I started the company, I started myself and Yasser. Yasser is employee number 1. Mm-hmm. And then we got another one and another nurse. Now I have 265 employees. I wish if I have 400 or 600, because the more employees I have, the more families are getting their income from the company, the more people I'm helping, the more networking, the more learning personally from people. So I cannot stop working. I cannot retire.
And there's a lot of science and backup now on longevity, and you know, when you, because there's such a link between the body and the mind. So when you reach retirement, the average age apparently now from when someone retires to death is like 6.5 years. So it's because they hang the you know, the shoes up, they sit down, and they're basically saying to their body and their mind, we're preparing for death.
Oh, thank you very much for this information. I didn't know this. I did it, but I didn't know this. So I will keep, I will never retire.
And what they say is that, you know, when you're in your 20s and you're just starting out with your career, you're meeting new people, you're taking on new challenges, new sports, new food, new habits, everything's new and exciting, and you're stimulating the body and the mind. When we get older in life, we switch off or tone it down a lot. We stop, we only meet the same people, we only do the same activities, we won't try anything new. So there's nothing stimulating that's giving you a reason to keep going. So basically, you know, there's a saying that, you know, your death doesn't need a reason to come and take you. You know, if you can push it back if you want, and, you know, working and seeing new people is a reason to keep stimulating and go.
Good news.
So last couple of questions. Obviously, we've known each other for a while, and we started out with the traditional investing. As my advice has grown and with the company of Prindon, so I advise on 3 areas and think everyone should be investing in 3 different things as part of their whole investment portfolio. So investing in funds and stocks, investing in properties, and investing in businesses, and either investing in a business or being involved in a business. And for me, when someone is doing that, their money is diversified, but also they are growing and developing. And, you know, from your point of view, you're doing all 3. But would you say that investing in the business itself, that's where you will develop the most as an individual?
Okay, thank you for this. I don't invest in a stock. I do invest in properties and in business. Now, if you ask me why, I always like to invest in something which I know. I didn't know about stock. Maybe I don't have the interest to learn about it. But currently I'm studying the cryptocurrency. I might go for it because this is a new era, which I don't want to be behind. So I just started studying, and then I'm planning after 3 months, when I get backed up with the information, to join any diploma or any master for the cryptocurrency. And I think I will invest in this. But the stock market, which I don't know, I didn't try before. But in business, in fact, I can run any business. I love business. I can run any business. You know, now I'm running education, and beside the healthcare, and people will say, oh, this doctor will go for healthcare. Yes, healthcare is my passion, is my main industry. But now I'm also going for education, real estate, and some other industries. So business, I like business because the challenges in business, the thoughts, and it's kinetic. Business is kinetic. I mean, every day you have something new, and you meet more people, you get more challenges, you learn more. So I invest in business, yes, and in real estate, yes. You know that we have something in UK, I have something in Egypt and Morocco in the real estate. And hopefully by 2023, I will be investing in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, good. So you're keeping it, you're diversifying.
Yes.
And so what's next for you then? I mean, what about the next, 10, 20 years? We know that you're not going to stop working. What things have you got, in terms of business or charity or giving back? What's on the horizon?
Very good. Yes, good. Charity, yes, number 1. Together with the charity, I will expand on this Quran Academy. But I will also have some time to be kept for my grandsons, which I started some 6 months ago, because they started growing up. So now I see my grandsons before they were maybe 3-4 years age, which is fine. And just something human. But now I'm meeting my grandsons. I have one of my grandsons is 16, 17 years old. So I'm teaching him how to build up his career, how to choose between this this path and this path in the study, what you want. So I will keep some time for my sons, daughters, and grandsons, for my family, teaching them business. Because I love them to be, for example, Dr. Ola now in her data center, I'm meeting her more frequently than before. I'm teaching her how to run her business. My son in Egypt also, I opened his own company, and he's now, I'm teaching him how to run his business. So what I mean, what I learned from business, the pros and cons, the ups and downs, the success and failure, I will take all the messages and convey it to my sons and grandsons, so that this will be my focus for the coming 10 to 15 years, if I'm living for 10, 15 years more.
Focus on, and we've talked about this as well. I think there's so much now with education, helping people, but actually where you've done it yourself. So rather than people going to business school, you do a workshop, maybe in the UAE or online, where you can teach people from, because you've gone, from an employee up to transactions and mergers, acquisitions. So you can advise, you can coach people and help people along the way. You
will be surprised if you see Omar, who's 12 years old, talking to you about P&L and the insurance and these things. Yes, I'd like them to get exposed to these things, so that when they grow up, they can decide better. They can decide better.
Yeah, I think that's such an important word.
I never dictate on them, but it's my duty to advise them, give them the advice, and then it's up to them to.
Yeah, to do what they want with it. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I'm very grateful for your time, and I know other people will be able to listen to this and add value from it. So I appreciate you giving back, and I'll see you soon anyway. But thank you and take care.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.